TV9. This is First Alert Weather Now.
Good evening and welcome to the Friday evening edition of First Alert Weather Now. Felt like it would never get here. I'm meteorologist Thompson.
I'm meteorologist Rickman.
It's been a busy week weather-wise with that system in the middle of the week that gave us that freezing rain, and now we are looking at the possibility of a little bit of icy precipitation again tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be a very similar setup to what we had on Wednesday in the sense that the precipitation we get is going to be very light, but as we saw on Wednesday, it does not take much to create quite a few travel headaches and travel hazards.
That's for sure, just in time for the weekend, of course, as well, which does also play into our forecast for fun this week. We've also got a look at what you can see in the sky up above the clouds and beyond the weather, too.
Yes, lots to look forward to, both beyond the weather and within the weather, because like we mentioned, it's very busy out there. So let's jump right into what you need to know as we go through the next couple of hours and then into your start of your weekend. So overnight tonight, for any plans you have this evening, you should be in good shape, but it's after midnight that we will be watching for a wintry mix to move into eastern Iowa. Snow in our far northern counties as you head farther south. The farther south you are, the better your chance of seeing a little bit of freezing drizzle mixing in as we go through there. Now, once that system moves out, we're dry for the second half of the weekend, and then active weather continues. Once we get into next week, we're going to be watching for a couple more chances at some snow. This time, the next chances are expected to be snow into next week, thanks to temperatures getting colder and falling below average. Satellite and radar right now, other than just a few flurries in some of our far northern counties there along the Iowa-Minnesota border, things are fairly quiet. So again, any plans you have this evening, you're in good shape. It's quiet in Solon. Temperatures right now are below freezing across the board. Winds are generally out of the south. And as we go through the rest of the night, temperatures will fall a few degrees, moderating a bit as we get towards the start of your day on Saturday. We'll have temperatures close to freezing, which is going to be critical in what type of precipitation that you get. So again, we're watching for that wintry mix on Saturday. Things do dry out by Sunday, but again, tomorrow you're going to want to keep an eye out for slippery roads at times as you drive around.
Certainly one of those nuisance things as we kick off the weekend, unfortunately, but not something that we can't overcome, too. It looks like crews have been out pre-treating streets today, at least in the Cedar Rapids area. I'm sure other places, too.
Absolutely, and of course, when those crews are able to get out, pre-treat the roadways, that works well for once that ice does start to develop. Primary roadways tomorrow will be in better shape than those secondary roadways. Keep in mind, obviously, just because those primary roads have been treated doesn't mean those smaller streets closer to your houses have not been have been treated as well. Those secondary roads tend to be icier than those primary streets.
That's a good thing to remember. And we'll have more details on timing with all of this precipitation both tomorrow and into the next week as well in just a little bit. But first, Chief Meteorologist Joe Winters has the last forecast for fun before the weekend.
Another February weekend is with us, the weekend before Valentine's Day, so we'll have a lot of activities certainly going on next week. Today, though, don't forget that as we head into the weekend, all that ice sculpting going on in Dubuque at Washington Park. If tomorrow takes you outside for that walk, you may end up with some snow or a little bit of mixed precipitation. On Saturday, 33 degrees, northwest winds at 10 to 20. Sunday, 27 degrees, looks like a super day. Get out early, get a nice walk in with a partly to mostly cloudy sky. Same on Monday as we warm it up a little bit. We should be at 34 degrees. Winds really not a big problem, strongest on Saturday as that storm system moves through. Saturday, of course, at the Amana Performing Arts Center, it's Winter Bachfest. They've got lots of music, food, goats, barrels of beer, a big winter party, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Check on the latest road conditions to make sure, but you get down there, it's going to be a good time as well with a little bit of mixed precipitation possible and 34 degrees. And of course, on Saturday as well, it's a noon tip-off for Iowa State. TCU comes to Ames, 34 degrees. Some scattered snow showers will certainly be possible as you head over to Hilton. And on the way back, likely some snow showers as well. Take the TV9 app with you to take a look at the latest road conditions. Ski report remains unchanged. We continue to find plenty of snow out there as temperatures remain cool. And next week, we may actually add to some snow and have some fresh snow on the ground for all of the ski hills. That's a complete look at today's forecast for fun.
Now, your First Alert forecast with meteorologist Thompson.
And we are keeping an eye on that possibility for a little bit of fresh snow this weekend. That is highlighted here on your First Alert as we head toward tomorrow. The best chance for snow that sticks will be to the north. And we'll show you where here in just a moment. But the threat for any little bit of freezing drizzle or wintry mix of course, always grabs people's attention. Seems like we just can't get away from that as any part of a winter event here as we go through eastern Iowa's season so far. Now, there's a little bit of snow trying to fall in far northern Iowa tonight. I do believe it's falling into dry enough air that that's likely not causing any issue, but watch out for a snowflake or two up toward the Decorah area as we especially head later into the night. Clouds elsewhere are pretty widespread. It's all as this area of low pressure approaches, and this one is going to play a factor too. Both of these tracking to the east, and they'll kind of work in tandem to give us that opportunity for precipitation as we head toward the weekend. Now, your first alert forecast for tonight involves temperatures down the 20s, 24 in Decorah, 27 in Tama. Everyone running above normal. Our normal low is still down the low teens, so we're significantly above that, but chilly as you step outside early Saturday. By the afternoon, temperatures get back up into the upper 20s, low 30s, and it's down here in the south where things will be warm enough perhaps that even those freezing conditions would be less concerned during the afternoon, and the factor that this precipitation will be falling during the day also could be a benefit in our favor in terms of keeping those roads a little clearer, certainly giving those road crews a little bit of a helping hand. Now, the rest of this evening, again, looking dry. You saw that precipitation on pinpoint Doppler radar, pinpoint futurecast, lending a little credibility to the idea that it's not really reaching the ground up toward that area just yet. But as it continues to fall, that chance will continue to pick up. Notice down here south of Interstate 80, we saw a few little blips of precipitation start to show up. This could be the sign of that freezing drizzle chance as it moves to the northeast. Now, by 7 o'clock, lighter to perhaps moderate snow at times will be possible, especially in our northern zones. This tracks to the east, so anywhere along and north of Highway 30 in particular has that opportunity. Now, as we go into the afternoon hours, notice it does get a little bit farther south than that too, but the primary area is still this Highway 20 and points to the north. Later in the afternoon, evening, we're talking about precipitation really winding down. So by dinner time on Saturday, we should be talking about drier weather and eventually clearer skies too. That will go into Sunday or Saturday night and early Sunday. Notice though a few more clouds try to creep in by later in the day. Now, trace to an inch of snow looks like a possibility still north of Highway 30 for these areas shaded in white. It does reach down toward the Cedar Rapids Metro, Waterloo, Dubuque, Decorah, Prairie du Chien, and Charles City up to an area where 1 to 3 inches is possible. It's a little bit farther north than where we had it yesterday. At the same time, the shift has been a little bit to the north over the past 24 hours, and that is keeping that heavier precipitation chance up there. Now, we get rid of the precipitation Saturday, replace it with dry weather on Sunday, 28 degrees for a high there. Precipitation becomes a possibility again, though, by Tuesday. Another opportunity perhaps Wednesday into Thursday as a couple of storm systems move through the middle of next week. Now, today's information has taken the area where accumulating snow is possible and moved it just a little bit farther north. Now, we will be watching this. This is still subject to change as we go through that time period of the week, as we have seen over countless winter seasons where those things can change. And obviously the track in this case is going to be a big deal. Another opportunity toward the end of next week as well. Not all of that time Tuesday through Saturday will be spent with snow, but it is at least a decent shot compared to what we've seen so far most of the season. It's been kind of lacking.
It has been, and it's really, especially January, been, as you mentioned, very lacking in winter weather, very quiet. So it's kind of a welcome change for some, especially those snow lovers out there. For those who don't enjoy driving in it or just in general cold, snowy weather, perhaps more unfortunate for you. But I did do a little bit of digging as we went through this afternoon, and I decided to check a look and see where we're at with snowfall this year. Cedar Rapids, 7.7 inches, which I will admit surprised me. Didn't seem like we've had that much, but 7.7 inches still, though, over a foot below average. And Dubuque, 2.5 inches, still over a foot below average, almost 16 inches. Iowa City and Waterloo, you are over a foot and a half below average on snow for where we should be at this point in the season. 5.8 inches there, 4.3 inches in Waterloo. So really just the snow has been hard to come by. Of course, as we go through the next couple of weeks with this active weather pattern, we'll have to see how much snow we get and if we can make up any of those deficits.
Yeah, to be determined, of course. If we got the full force of all of those systems next week, we'd probably chip into it, but we probably even then wouldn't catch up. I hope we don't get 2 feet of snow next week.
I would shudder to think getting that much snow in that little time. Of course, it happened last year.
Yeah, we did it. We know what it's like.
It's absolutely. And then, of course, February came around and it was absolutely dry and nothing happened. So, well, not absolutely dry, but very warm during the month of February. So a tale of 2 months. We'll see if this ends up being that type of situation for this winter.
Now, it's also been a time frame where we've seen a lot of clear skies lately. It's great for folks trying to take a look at things happening in the sky, not just the weather. Talking beyond the weather. And Chief Meteorologist Joe Winters spoke with the folks from the Cedar Valley Astronomers about what you can see coming in the next few weeks.
And once again, it's time to chat with the Cedar amateur astronomers. Chris Cardos is with us. And Chris, we've had the early part of February start. What do we have to look forward to for the rest of the month?
Well, we have some pretty nice things in the sky, Joe. Through about Valentine's Day, we've got 4 bright planets that will be able to be seen with the naked eye. If you face south and look from east to west, you'll see Mars and then Jupiter and then Venus and then Saturn. And if you're looking through a telescope or good binoculars, you'll be able to see Jupiter's moons. Uranus and Neptune will also be visible with a telescope, and Saturn's rings, as I mentioned in the past, will be almost invisible because we'll be looking at them edge on. After about Valentine's Day, Saturn gets closer and closer to the horizon and is harder to see. On the 24th, Mercury will make an appearance very close to Saturn, but it will be difficult to see because of the residual sunlight at dusk and because it is going to be very close to the horizon. But you might want to try, because this will be the last time until 2040 that you'll be able to see all 7 planets at one time.
Wow, that's a long time. So yeah, I would say if anybody has an opportunity, at least try to take that opportunity.
Exactly. If you're interested in the moon and conjunctions with the planets, on February 9th, Mars and the moon will be in conjunction, meaning they'll be very close to each other. We have a full moon on February 12th, a last quarter moon on February 20th, and that's a good time to see details in the lunar surface because of the way the sun's light casts bigger shadows. And on the 27th, we have a new moon, which is the darkest skies, and those are good for viewing everything else. And then on March 1st, we have Venus and the moon in conjunction.
So as long as we get some
As
good
far
weather
as
in the skies, we've got some good viewing opportunities for some planets, that's for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. Constellations are really the same ones from last month. Orion the Hunter, Taurus the Bull, and Gemini the Twins are very prominent. We have something special at the beginning of, at the end of February, beginning of March. The zodiacal light becomes visible. This is a faint and diffuse, roughly triangular glow caused by sunlight scattering off of interplanetary dust particles. And it's most visible just after sunset in the west, but it will require a relatively dark sky to be able to see it. And finally, our monthly program for the month will be on the evening of Saturday, the 15th of February at 7:30. It will be virtual, only on Zoom. You can go to our website to get the link for that. In March, we'll resume our public meetings that are at the observatory. The title for the February program is the Cosmic Distance Ladder. The presenter is Mr. Dave Faulkner, a member of the Minnesota Astronomical Society and also a NASA Solar System ambassador. And he will be discussing measuring the vast distances in the universe.
Well, that gives everybody the opportunity to do that. Chris, once again, with the Cedar Amateur Astronomers, we thank you for taking us through the month of February. We look forward to the public presentations beginning again, of course, at the observatory as we get to some warmer weather. Hope you have a great day.
Thanks, and you too.
Lots of cool stuff coming up, but a lot of clouds coming up in the next several days too, unfortunately. We'll have to pay attention as we get further into that astronomical calendar. This weekend features some chilly temperatures, especially as we head toward Sunday morning. And then next week too, as temperatures each of these days where we have single digit above or below 0 wind chills to start off the day. Each of those days likely the coldest of the next 9, at least in terms of only getting those highs into the 20s, see 33 to 28. A little bit of a bounce back on Monday, but it's the middle of next week when things get a little bit more active and they also get chilly. That's some certainly of that winter cold. Now, as get toward the end of next week, Friday, Saturday, both include that chance for some precipitation. Friday previously was dry. We added that today, as it does look like a storm system is starting to take shape in that sort of time frame. Where it tracks and how how strong it is. All those usual caveats include what we could see from it, but it doesn't involve that chance of snow initially. Bit of a rain-snow mix on Saturday, perhaps before flipping back to snow. Now that's as colder air arrives. It looks like we may see a little bit of a downturn after that too. If you thought you were done with winter, we are far from it. But that does take us halfway through the month of February, which for a lot of folks, myself included, certainly is a good sign that we're getting through winter and later into the season. I don't know, it'd be neat to have a little bit of snow. It's weird to look at those numbers you showed earlier and just think we haven't had a 6-inch snowfall anywhere in eastern Iowa yet this year.
Here's another stat to have everyone go home with. Pensacola, Florida, more snow than most areas in eastern Iowa.
Yeah, not shocking.
By a substantial margin in some places.
I was going to say, they had that big storm just a few weeks ago that we showed you.
They did.
Pretty wild. Well, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the big game on Sunday. We will be back here on Monday, same time and place. Have a great night.